What did you learn in 2023, and how are you going to take that information to move into 2024? Matt and I are going to talk about that personally for us today, so we can encourage you to do the same.
That's right. So sit back, get out your pen and paper, and join us on the Wandering But Not Lost podcast.
You've reached the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate and reality meet. And now your hosts, Jan O'Brien and Matt Emerson.
Well, welcome everyone to the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate and reality meet. This is episode 270. You can find all of those show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. Jan O'Brien, the year is winding down, and I did not text you yesterday because I knew you were at a conference, and I wanted to not miss wishing you a very happy winter solstice.
It was all about the winter solstice, and I had that thought that I need to beat Matt to that, and then I got caught up in what I was doing, and I loved it. It was a wonderful. I started the day with my morning routine, and I did a walk, and it was wonderful. It was very chilly and cloudy here. We had a little rain this morning here. I think we got.
Yes, I had my morning routine walk between rain showers here in Southern California, which is a wonderful thing when that happens. So that was really nice. I had a wonderful day too, and it is funny because it is the shortest day of the year, and you don't realize getting dark at 4:30 is early or whenever.
That is unnerving. I mean, I was having to get somewhere at 4:30, and I'm like, why does it feel like it's 8:00 at night? It really can mess with your body, right? And
yeah, absolutely. So the calendar's just really wonky this year. I think having Christmas Eve fall on Sunday, and Christmas on Monday, it just feels strange. So if you are, this podcast is actually going to drop on Christmas Day. So if you are actually listening to this podcast on Christmas Day, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you so much. And if you're listening to it afterwards, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. So
and Happy New Year.
And the New Year is right around the corner. So it's really interesting. So Jan, what's funny, we were talking when we were coming up with a topic for this, how we were going to kind of look back on the year and reflect and kind of talk about what we learned. And then you went to a workshop yesterday that really just kind of encapsulated all of that, right?
I went to a workshop. Generally, we lead these kind of workshops, right? Yeah. So it was great going to a workshop that really was all about self-reflection on the 2023, and really just setting up. And the word goal was never in there. It was just all about manifestation, getting real clear around where you were personally, professionally, spiritually. What did you, and so it just set me up, and I did a lot of deep work. A lot of times I won't go as deep as I did here, but it was like a 3-hour workshop, and I really enjoyed it. So we wanted to just talk about that today. Matt and I had planned that we were going to talk about what did we learn in 2023? What were the themes? And as part of that letting go process of anything that happened for you in 2023, so you can get fresh. It's a perfect time of the year. Even if you're listening to this at the beginning of the year, I would say in the first couple months of the year, it's great to go through a ceremony of just sitting down, and it's not just business, like set your goals for business. This is more for you personally, which of course is you're reflecting on yourself, your family, all the things that are important to you, as well as what happened in your business, so that you can have really super clear vision for your 2024, right?
Yeah, if you're grounded, everything in your life is going to be better, right? If you really find that focus and clarity. So absolutely.
So I'll kick it off with what I feel like I learned, the lessons I learned, or what were the themes that came up, and the things that as I just kind of finished this reflection on 2023, what were the pros and cons, if you will, and what did I learn from it? So the very first thing for me was really what I think, Matt, what really influenced a lot of things that we talked on the podcast I was actually doing. Mm-hmm. So I made a decision in 2022, June, to move back to Las Vegas to get committed and to not try to do all these things, which leads to this narrowing my focus, having clarity around what I wanted to accomplish, and knowing I could do it more here, still doing things with WBNL coaching, but jumping back into the real estate game full time with Cosmo and my team. Started in 2022, but by the time I got here in June, it was just starting to ramp up. And so really 2023 was the first year of proving to myself that if I had a commitment and stayed focused and simplified it and narrowed the activities that I'm doing, which really led us to the daily, right?
Right. Absolutely.
I really worked on it, and now I'm thinking to myself, imagine if I did that the majority of the time, like 75 to 80% of the days I stuck to the daily, because I didn't always. Yeah. And I still had one of my best real estate years ever in a market where most people were really, probably, if you're listening, you may be like, wow, I was down like 30%, 40% like the market, but we really stayed ahead of it and made the adjustment. We talked about it in our last podcast. There's always going to be people buying and selling real estate, just staying with real estate for a second. And you've got to make the adjustment. And we found a niche and we did that, but we worked at it every day. We had to get up every day and do the work.
Do the daily.
And the work was, for us, creating content and then meeting people, connecting with people, following up with them. We probably did that. If I was to rate myself 1 to 10, I'd say it was a 6 to 6.5.
I think that's fair, actually.
Which means, look at how much improvement there can be, because it was just about discipline. And now you can't just be so robotic that all I do is, boom, 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 because you got to have balance. But honestly, going into the new year, I know that I can take what I learned in narrowing my focus, staying committed, and basically doing the discipline. And I think if I switch gears to WBNL coaching, we did the same thing, Matt.
Yeah, we did. Absolutely.
Would you agree? We focused on, we don't need to be all things to all people. We really realized our perfect client is small brokers and teams. Not that if you're an individual agent, we've got a program for you, but we realized that we want to focus on helping small brokers and teams grow. And that, and
we narrowed our course selection down this year.
We sure did, didn't we?
Yeah, and we created the course that we've been needing to create for 5 years, or So I mean, absolutely, we followed that same pattern, and it was successful. Right.
Which leads us to being super clear about that going in, and now just fine tuning, just like me, for real estate and coaching. We're going to fine tune what are the actions. So those 3 key words are clarity, focus, narrow your focus, and then action, take action. And taking action for me is through the daily, doing the daily. Mm-hmm. And remember, doing the daily is the morning routine. You have to do some kind of business building activity, lead gen. You have to follow up with your leads. You need to work with your active clients. And then number 5 is where all the admin comes in, all the busy stuff, whatever you want to call that. So that has to be the 5 components of your schedule, in my opinion.
And by the way, that works if you are in real estate or not in real estate, because any business has the same functionality, right? You need to, so it's.
And if you keep focused around those, then whatever the little tactical strategies you're doing for lead gen or business building, could be whatever you're doing today. Maybe you're going to hold an open house. For us in our coaching, maybe we're going to go focus on something we're going to do on social media, or some kind of advertisement we're going to go do, or how we're going to reconnect with people that we already have in our database. It's all the same thing, 100%, right?
Exactly.
Anything for you on that whole business side or narrowing your focus?
No, I think that you
or really things that happen to you for you.
You really hit the nail on the head. It really is exactly that, right? And I didn't do the daily in the same way that you did the daily every day, but I did focus every single morning, which I would do anyway, but I really put more focus on it when I was doing my walk, right? Like really laying out the plan on things I needed to get done that day and creating that kind of mental checklist or actual checklist of things that needed to get done. So and it just really helps to be focused.
And that really moved over for me on a personal level. I realized that I really had to look and say, why do I not do the morning routine for me every day? And I had to look at that, and I had to look at a couple other things. The part of the decision of me staying committed and coming back here, and that I'm grateful for, that happened this year, was reconnecting. So reconnecting with family here, with friends like you guys and other friends that I have here that I didn't, I was starting over when I went to Florida. And even though I made some things happen in a short amount of time and I had family there, it was part of the journey to go discover that's not what was the right place and time for me. And that was all validated in this last year. So I'm grateful for all that reconnection, and I'm grateful for my partnerships, which really got clear in 2023, which will set us up for 2024, because we're going to have another year business wise, as far as what's going on in the world and the country. It's going to be a little chaotic. It's still,
Yeah,
we have an election coming up. We don't really know what's going on 100% with the economy. The inflation is still not where the Fed wants it to be. Interest rates are coming down a little bit, but daily they move around. I think we're going to have another year very similar to this year when it comes to the real estate side of the house.
Yeah.
So
I think, for me, as far as, what I did on that same note for, you as far as reconnecting, the years prior to last year were very chaotic, very hectic, very busy. A lot of decisions had to be made. My life really changed a lot during the years prior to that. And 2023 for me needed to be calm, steady, and just easy. You know what I mean? It wasn't throw more things on to, it was let's land here, right? And really start to, once again, kind of find your feet and, kind of start really looking to the future, because I was so in the now, which you need to be in the now. I really believe in that, but I was so caught up in the now.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't looking at anything else except for what was happening 5 minutes from now, right? So This year was really good for me to just kind of take a step back, take a few deep breaths, and I don't know, just kind of start to rebuild in a way.
Wow, that's really powerful. And it also, for me, back in the 90s, I really kind of got on a bit of a spiritual awakening and really got into so many things on that side. And I just explored just everything from numerology to astrology to esoteric kind of studies, different types of religions, many paths, one destination. And I really was on a whole, I would say that my 90 decade was all of that, right? 90s. So here we are in 2023. And even though that is all back there, I had felt like I disconnected from that part of myself in the last decade, maybe, for real, and was focused on other things. And so I rediscovered that in 2023, which I think really helped me, which is this whole piece of your mindset, whatever it is for you, you just can't get up every day and go grind it out if you're not 100% clear about what you like and if you're passionate about it and what your why is and your purpose and all those things, whatever resonates with you. But for me, it was reconnecting with that and finding new people that I want to follow or listen to. That it's basically a younger generation of teachers out there, which I find so intriguing. At 62 years old, I'm like listening to 30 somethings and I'm like, yeah, they're resonating, but that's our future leaders in all levels, business, the spiritual world, whatever side of the personal development, whatever it is you're looking at. And I just think the right things find you, right? When you're in that mind, and one thing will lead you to the next thing, and all of a sudden you'll discover a book or whatever. And that's what happened for me, probably, honestly, just the second half of this year. I wasn't in that space the first half of the year, right? But it's helped my attitude. And so I know all this, but I was not living my truth and not standing in my complete power with that. But now I realize that when I really do walk what I talk about and, and coach, then that's when everything does line up. And that's when things come your way. And it's not fairy dust. Okay. It's just the way energy and everything works in our world, in our
universe. So interesting, Jan, because the two things you're just talking about here is you didn't forget that, but you kind of back tabled it a little bit, So,
I didn't integrate it.
Same thing though, with the morning routine, you all these things you knew that you needed to do, and you thought about it a lot, and we talked about it a lot, right? You actually pulled it back into your actual daily routine. It changed the way you centered yourself. And I was fun to watch that happen too. And plus it always helps me, right? Focus on those things. It's really interesting. And you're absolutely right. When you manifest or when you put an idea out there, throw an idea to the universe or really focus on something, we've seen it happen countless times since we started WB. Things do start to form. It's just the way it works. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
And honestly, one of the things for me was with all the things that happened during COVID and us changing our model and starting a company and having to table that and deal like everyone else, rediscover yourself financially, went from making paycheck to, let's just be commission based. it's been a reset for and getting financially not just stable. Okay, that was part of my year going back to Florida, was to find stability again. But I had to go there to realize that it was going to be here. I would rediscover the abundance and the success that would come my way. But you can't just focus on that one area. I mean, if I learned anything, if I relearned or remembered anything in 2023, it's that you got to work on yourself, all those levels. And so when I started to get more into reconnecting with things that inspire me on a personal and spiritual level, personal development level, I noticed some shifts in not only in my mindset, but in my body, where it was like, I talked to you about this, right? Like, oh, I don't want to make bad choices in what I'm eating. All of a sudden, I really used to struggle with drinking so much water. And it was like my body's going, thank you for giving me water. You don't need to give it any of the other crap that I was giving it, like energy drinks and, like healthy energy drinks, which is not healthy. Okay. Anything that has any kind of chemicals in it is not healthy. I'm not talking about Monsters or Red Bull. I was drinking, the new age sort of like, what is it called? I don't even know now because I have it out of my head. I was drinking those Celsiuses all the time, right? And that has stuff in it that's not good for your body. It's a lot of caffeine. I still drink my caffeine in the morning, but I'll just have a, espresso or something. I don't need to have it all day long. But I realized that I needed to detox my mind and my body. And when I did that, I could just see everything flowed better. I mean, this is crazy, but not crazy. I mean, it's simple, yet not simple. But when you really get that you take care of yourself on all those levels, then everything comes your way. And I really got the energy alignment for myself, but I got that remembrance of, if I'm thinking about the stuff I don't have, or I don't have all the finances the way that I want them to rebuild it all back, then I was creating that in the past. You know that because you used to talk about the time. I would be like so caught in I was stuck in this heavy financial energy. And then it changed. It changed this year. And I'm like, what's happening? People are coming out of the woodwork to work with us because I let go of some of that, but I re-centered myself and I found a formula that works. Yet I had to work on it on many days when it wasn't, as easy as just getting up and brushing my teeth, right? It wasn't coming that easy on every single day, right?
No, I mean, nothing's easy, right? You have to work at it. It's funny. It's like whenever you really do have that, you become more centered and your body is aligned and you just feel better and healthier and it makes you happy. I mean, the whole thing is just perpetuating, right? But you almost become that person that everyone wants to talk to in a room. You become more magnetic whenever you are just in a better mind frame. That's just,
so you do become, to that point, you become so aware of the heavy negative energy that's around you. So if you're really raising your vibration or your energy level because you're eating healthier, light foods, drinking more water, putting good stuff in, not listening to the division that's happening in our country and world. And because I was in that space, just stopping to not listen to all the channels that are out there telling you about whatever's going on. I mean, I stay on top of what's happening, but I drastically reduced all that intake because I didn't realize. I was thinking, oh, okay, I'm not going to let it bother me, but it's bothering you.
Yeah.
If you're listening to nothing but negative stuff, which is really what's out there in all the media channels, and social media amplifies it so much.
Yep.
That I redid some of my channels so that I could select, because the algorithms are so strong on these channels.
Yeah, they are.
I redid one so I would choose what I wanted to hear. And maybe it was more creative and positive and not just, one side or the other of a story, right? So that helped me too, because then I realized that, wow, I just could look back for a second and go, yeah, we got red and black. This side, that side, everybody's got an opinion. And I didn't need to get in the middle of that anymore. And I almost kind of became, not that I don't have opinions, but I just became more of an observer and more neutral about it. And realized things are happening outside of myself. I get to choose how I'm going to react to it. And I don't want to bring all that negative energy back into my body and my mindset, because that's what I was discovering was holding me back.
I think that actually you can take that even a step farther, really, because what my observation really is, and this is partially COVID, Because I think a lot of us have really tried to forget that even ever happened. And
Right?
it did happen, and it had a big effect on just about everybody and everything, whether you believe any of it or not. It did. But I think so. Part of it is that. Part of it is this political ecosystem that's out there. But together, it has changed the way people just generally behave. People are more aggressive. People are more negative. People are they are meaner than they used to be. They really are. I'm telling you right now, driving in particular is something I noticed last year that was crazy. Just the other day, we were going to dinner, and there was a car, like, you know how when you get to the stoplight and you can turn right from the right lane in most states, there was a car that wasn't turning right. It was just going to go straight. So, of course, that is a little annoying if you want to. You're in the line that wants to go right? So there was this kind of big truck behind them, and then we were behind that. So we were the third car in the line. Okay, that truck was so antsy and honking his horn and doing all this stuff. Then he backed up a little bit towards our car, which was like, "What are you doing?" And then went up onto the curb, over the corner, and then down onto the other side, right?
Just to get around that car.
I mean, he might have saved, I don't know, maybe a minute by doing that, and just took everyone's blood pressure up, because he was doing that. And then we laughed our asses off because we got around the corner and he got into a line of traffic, like literally 300 feet from that corner. It's like, wow.
He didn't get anywhere.
Good job, buddy. But here's what we were thinking. I'm thinking, but he didn't look at it as like, oh my God, look how far I got from doing that. No, I'm sure he was thinking, well, I got around that guy that wasn't, turning. It's so interesting to watch that. So what I think of one of the big takeaways for me from 2023 regarding that whole situation is how you really, this isn't new, but just kind of going back to the basics of communication. And when you're talking to somebody, don't be so darn aggressive when you're asking questions or when you're making points, and offer solutions whenever you're talking to somebody about something, and do things that are not so confrontational. Yeah. I just can't imagine. I mean, I can't even tell you how many conversations I've been in the last year that were just like, it's like, wow, what are you? I didn't do anything. Why are you acting this way? You know? It's really interesting. So, and we talk about this a lot too, Jan and Brian. We're talking about just when you talk to people in customer service, and or anyone that's assisting you, to be kind and to be helpful, and to I've gotten a lot farther this way with the catching the flies with the honey, or what's the expression, than the vinegar, because people aren't used to it. I mean, more so than there have been in the past. So one of the big takeaways, and what I'm going to bring right into 24, is to just watch very carefully how I talk to people. People you don't know, obviously, but also just people you do know and love, because it's the same thing. Everyone feels that. And I really think it has a lot to do with the whole COVID situation. And
the driving is an excellent example. And this is where I can catch myself falling back into an old routine of getting caught up in that. But that situation you just described is what the challenge is that energy is there. Hurry up, frustration, I'm angry, I'm right, you're wrong. And if you have a choice, are you going to, and this is what everybody wants when they're battling for energy, is you need to get in there and battle me, right? Like people want that confrontation. And that's what we're seeing on social media and everywhere. Everyone has got an opinion, and they've got to say it loud and rude and cut other people down. And it's like hiding behind keyboards, right?
Yeah, totally.
Social media, it's like empowered people to just do whatever and be rude. And so what's interesting is, do you want to fall into the trap, which is what happens to me? That would be the best example for me, where I might go back and yell at that person in my car or say something, or then I catch myself now going, oh, there I go. I'm going to go right back into that negative energy, which is what's happening. Or do I not react to it, which is interesting. You need to watch what happens to you the next time, if that's an example, if a trigger is driving and whatnot for you, and see, can you change your attitude about it? Because that's where you'll know that if you're working on this and you'll also find you'll get a different group of people you hang around. You won't want to hang around, nor will the people that are negative want to hang around you. They need to be around other people who are going to battle with them and engage in that back and forth, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be okay with that.
Yeah,
sometimes people don't want to make a shift in themselves. You can't change people. You can't change situations. You can change what you do about it, or what you react to and how you change things about you, and then things can change around you. Meaning, which can mean, and this is why I think people don't do it sometimes, if I change, then what's going to happen to my relationships or my people that are close to me because they don't want to change with me. I literally went through this when I was married, and really became aware of, I just wanted to be, this is when I started that spiritual, awakening. And I just realized that I didn't want to be in this different energy. And it ended up in being the most amicable divorce. I've only been divorced and married once. But it was okay because I didn't want to stay. He wanted to be where he was and stayed all the way until he passed away. He stayed in the energy that he wanted to be in. And it wasn't negative energy. It was just not the energy I wanted to be in. And the way I wanted to live. So it's interesting, right? So you have to be okay with it. And that's what I think a lot of people are afraid of change. So it's better to know what you know for some people. And I'm going to say, I don't know about that. Because if you're not getting what it is that you want, like if you look back on this year and you didn't accomplish, as you do this like idea of reflecting and then setting yourself up for success in the new year, are you happy? I mean, that's really what it is. Are you happy? Did you find joy in the year? Are you okay with everything? And if you're not and you're aware of it, it's like red pill, blue pill, right? Matrix. Once you're aware of it, you either have to, it's very hard to go back into the box and say, well, now that I'm aware it could be different, I'm going to go here, because you're not going to be happy. So it's just a lot of cool stuff that's happening, because we're going to, let's face it, it's not going to be in a perfect year for business next year. It's going to be another chaotic year. Who knows? Okay, there's just a lot of chaos going on. There's a lot of light and dark stuff happening out there. So stay focused. And so let's talk about what if you've come up with a theme or something, because we've done this in the past, where one of the things I did in my workshop yesterday was a mind map, right? A word map. We've done that before, Matt Emerson. There's even some fun things online, guys. If you've never done it, you can go in. I think it's called I want to say Wordle, but that's that. It's something Wordle. Like Wordle.
I'll try. I'll do some research on our past podcast.
It's like a doodle thing where you put your words in and it creates a little image.
It is.
It starts with a W, but it's not the Wordle puzzle thing. It's something
it's
like
probably just word cloud. It's probably something as simple as
it's
that.
It's like word. I think if you just Googled word cloud, you'll find it. And I'm going to take mine and turn it into a word cloud, because I like that idea. And I just put 2024 in the middle, and then just after doing all this work, just come up with they can be images, they can be words or whatever. But this is and this started happening to me from you, Matt, when we were talking about AI. And my theme for 2024 is going to be co-creation through connection. Okay, a little alliteration. And what I mean by this for me is I set things up in this past year to continue and to be even more focused and keep things more simple and not put a lot of things on my plate. But co-create to me means that I have partnerships. I have a partnership here with Matt and what we do at the coaching company, with Cosmo in my real estate business here in Vegas. And then the co-creating with my own self, even with AI, to work on things we want to write. We're going to look at doing some things with our content, even maybe publish it a little bit differently as a goal in the new year for our team building and so forth. And so that's co-create, and it's got to be through connection. So it's connection with my own self, making sure I'm clear about all of that and I'm staying connected, and it's connecting with the people, whether they're clients for coaching, clients for want to buy or sell a house, or just our partnership. Because I think by doing that and staying grounded, then great content and great things can happen that will attract, and everything will come full circle. So that's my theme for 2023, so that I can reach the other, personal goals and so forth that I have, right? But I'm just going to stay focused on that.
I have not come up with a good alliteration for my...
Well, I had to set the tone, because, you are the alliteration king.
Although perhaps I will as I'm speaking about it. But I mentioned before how I was kind of on that, reset plateau throughout last year. And I have felt myself over the last couple months getting a little antsy. Like, okay, it's time to go. But it's not quite time to go. But 2024 is go time. And I'm feeling like if you want to just talk about, the three things, the clarity, focus, and action, I'm going to be spending most of my time in action next year, because that's just where I want to be.
Yep.
That's where I feel like I will get the most reward. Well, obviously there'll be financial reward, but I mean just the most personal reward out of it as well. So that's where I'm going to live in 2024, and I'm committed to doing so, and I'm looking forward to it. So that's
awesome. In my workshop yesterday, the facilitator stated that the theme for 2024, like on a universal level, was application, taking action. Okay, where the year before was getting clear about who you are, freedom, but sovereignty, like your individual person who needs to know what your power is all about. But now it's applying what you know. And I agree with that. So application for me too is continuing to get even more focused and committed to what I learned in this past year of what works and what doesn't work and what can be a time suck. And it's basically staying on top of the things that we know. We know who we want to work with on the coaching and real estate. We know who our perfect client is. We know the kind of folks we prefer to work with, and we're going to track those folks to come and find us and work with us, or have conversations with them and provide the value that we know we bring, right, on both of those things. So that's what I'm going to do, and that's part of my whole connecting and co-creating. And even when I'm in a coaching relationship, it's a co-creating.
Absolutely, that's the perfect analogy for that. You're absolutely in that world when you're doing the coaching one-on-one. So that's perfect.
So awesome. I love it. So that is where we are for lessons learned in 2023, and where Matt and I are going. And we just wanted to talk a little bit more personally today to just encourage you, if you guys are listeners, to say, have you done this work?
Right.
Because it's powerful. I feel so calm and empowered. I don't have this chaotic energy. I don't have any of that going on. I just know everything, as long as I stay the course and keep working and do my little daily routine and have fun and find the joy in things, then everything's going to work out. I don't need to be frustrated or worried or concerned.
Yeah. So, if you're listening, drop a comment in the show notes, or online or on YouTube, and let us know what your plans are for 2024, because I'd be interested to hear that. It's we're all in this together, right? Whether we think we are or not, we are all in this together. So yeah. It's very cool. Well, awesome. Hey, we have our big year-end review show coming up next week, so we'll be chatting on that. It's, once again, interesting calendar, so that'll be dropping on New Year's Day. Oh, that's a new one. So all good. So we're going to be jumping in that. And then next year, we have some great stuff planned for January. We're going to be talking about, how you can really show your value to your buyers. We're going to really talk about how focusing on listings is more important now than ever. And if you don't, and maybe it's not more important now, but certainly in a couple of years, it's probably going to be more important. So get ready and hone your skills now and you get ahead of the game on that one. So, and then we're going to continue our Ask 5 series with season 3 kicking off. Some good guests coming up in 2024 as well. So
right on.
That's awesome. You know where to find all of our stuff, everybody. It's over at WBNLcoaching.com. You can go to our courses page. You can go to our freebies page. You can go to our freebies page and then go to the courses page, whatever way. Just look at all that. And then we have our all of the podcasts from this year and all of our prior years over at WBNLpodcast.com. This has been episode 270. And you can get those show notes at WBNLpodcast.com. I'll try to go back and look at some of the old podcasts to find some of the mindfulness stuff and focus stuff we've done in years past and put in the show notes for.
We have a lot of that in our Align, Connect, Prosper course, which is probably one we're going to give a little refresh to this year. And I really think that we can expand this My Path, which has a bunch of worksheets in it, which is free, and you can go download it. Because I like the idea of having a simpler process that's part of business planning, but keep it separate, a little bit more like this workshop I went through, where we have a little of the similar things I just did in my workshop yesterday in My Path, but we could probably redo that a little bit too, Matt, just as some things to freshen up for the new year.
Put it on the list. Yeah, put it on the list. All right, everyone, get up, get out, live the life you dreamed, and, go find your joy. Go find your joy this week. And then we'll see you next week. You'll actually see us in 2024. So
exactly.
Yeah, get out there, everyone.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and be forever wandering, but not lost.
Maybe we can do it by way of just sharing that and give everybody this last chance to, have you really done this part yet?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Okay, we're on.